And the question for this week is about body shame. When it comes to feeling their vagina and bum in public, how do you teach your kid not to do that without body shaming them? I say, you can do that in private, but I'm not sure if it's the right thing to say. Excellent question. And welcome back to Sitting in a Car. I'm Sarah Sproul and I sit in a car with you each week answering a question to help you raise your confident and caring young person who respects themselves and the people around them. So this question is going to be really useful for any adult out there who wants to raise a child who is not ashamed of their body, because most of us, lots of us know from personal experience that when we feel ashamed about our body, it disempowers us. We can't speak up for what we need. We can't seek help if something doesn't feel right. It's harder for us to get medical attention. So there are lots of really great reasons why we want to all avoid body shame for our children. I want to tell you a story about when I graduated from my master's program. I've done a master's in sexuality studies to help me do this work with parents, because what I realized pretty darn quickly is you can have all these sort of beliefs in the world, but unless you have a strong understanding of what the research says, people won't pay attention, because why should they? I'm just one person saying what she thinks is important based on what I've experienced in my life. But when you go back to the research and you can say all these different scientific articles and my own master's research has shown me really clearly that these conversations are important for parents to have with their children. But I digress. When I graduated my master's, it took me 3 years to do that. We had sort of horrendous life experiences happening in between times, one of them in which my grandmother had died and my husband was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, all in the space of like 6 weeks. So it was pretty crap, really. I decided I wanted to celebrate my master's in style. And so we decided we would take all 5 of us, so me, John, and the 3 kids, to the Shelbourne Hotel for lunch. Now, if you don't live in Dublin, then you won't know that the Shelbourne Hotel is sort of an institution. It's a beautiful hotel in the centre of Dublin on St. Stephen's Green, which is a magnificent Georgian square. It's really spectacular. I'll just do a little bit of fangirling at the moment and say, if you haven't been to Dublin, you need to come to Dublin. It's a beautiful place to visit. Anyway, they have a restaurant there and it's, white tablecloth, very lovely table service. And the children were, I think they were 12, 10 and 8, maybe, sometime around that age. So it was going to be a big endeavor, and they'd never gone to a restaurant like this before. We'd never taken them. In fact, I very rarely go to anything like this. So it was special. So we talked about what they were going to wear, that we'd all get to wear our nice clothes, and what table manners would they need to have, how would they order their food, and what sort of behavior is appropriate if you need to go to the toilet in a restaurant like this. What would you do? Would you be allowed to run around, or would you walk carefully and slowly to where you had to go? So there was lots of teaching and learning that had to happen to make sure that the kids understood what was the right appropriate behavior to have in this context. And this question about whether we touch our middle parts or our bottom or whatever in public is exactly the same thing. So let's get going. I'm going to give you 3 ideas of how to teach your kids about what's appropriate when touching your body and what sort of areas or spaces can they do that in. Let's go. So point 1, the first thing we need to say to our kids is that their bodies are awesome, because human bodies are spectacular things. They can do amazing stuff. And we can also say that because our bodies are so awesome and there's lots of really interesting different parts, that we need to learn the rules to make sure that we treat our body well and we look after it well. We also need to learn rules about our body so that nobody else around us can tell us we're wrong for doing the things we're doing, because there are lots of things that are really important to do for our body to keep us feeling healthy, to keep us feeling safe, and to keep us feeling happy. So point 1 is bodies are awesome. Point 2, there are different rules that we need to learn for different parts of our body. So, for example, when we go to the toilet and we've wiped the poo or the urine away from our body with paper, or water or whatever our culture says is the right way to clean that part of our body, we have to go to the basin and we wash our hands with soap and then we dry them very carefully. That's one of the rules about our body. But there's another rule about our body, which would be if we want to touch parts of our body that feel really nice, and our middle parts are often places that feel really nice, like that could be our vulva or our penis, we can definitely do that. We need to do that in a private place like a bathroom or a bedroom. And then after we've finished touching that nice part of our body that's really just for us, then we need to go and wash our hands as well. Here's another rule about our body, that there are parts of our body that we can show everybody, and that could be things like our hands and our face. But have you noticed how the rules about a face has changed recently? So it used to be you could go into shops or on a bus or into school and you wouldn't need to wear anything on your face. But now there's a new rule, and the rule is that if you're in a shop or in a bus or something like that, you need to use a mask. And I've got one here actually, I'm just going to show you, right? So there's a new rule about faces. So what we're teaching our kids is the rules about their middle parts or their genitals are just like rules about other parts. So when they grow up, there'll be another rule that oftentimes armpits can get smelly on a lot of people. And so one of the rules is that we wash to make sure that our smell isn't unpleasant to ourselves and isn't unpleasant to the people who love being around us. Point 3. Different parts of our body feel nicer than other parts of our body. So we're teaching our children that not all parts of our body are the same. For example, if I touch my lips with my finger, just gently, that feels quite nice. But if I did the same thing with my elbow, doesn't really feel like anything very much. If I went like this with my face, it feels one way. If I do it like this under my armpit, it feels another way, right? And one sensation might be nice and one sensation might be weird or just meh. Same sort of thing with our genitals. If we touch our genitals with our hands, it can feel different to other parts of our face. Like if I rubbed the palm of my hand like this, right, it might feel one particular way. If I rub my vulva or my penis or whatever I have, it's going to feel a different sort of way. So that each part of our body will feel different when we touch it. And one of our jobs growing up is to work out what our body feels like in all the different places. It's sort of like being a scientist and learning how our body works. And that's a job for kids to do. And they do it on themselves, right? Everyone's job is to touch their own body, not to touch someone else's body, all right? So that is the third point. So let's recap. What are the 3 points? The first point is our bodies are awesome. Second point is there are different rules for different parts of our body in different locations, like our face at home versus our face in a shop, like our private parts, where do we get to touch them? And then the third point is that our body is awesome and it feels different in different parts of it. Our face, our lips, our elbow, our hand, our middle parts, our genitals, they all feel different. And one of our jobs is to discover all those different sensations and work out which ones we like the best. But we do it on our own body, not someone else's. And that's sitting in a car for another week, where I've answered a question to help you raise your confident and caring young person who respects themselves and the people around them. And while I've got you here, can I ask for your help? Would you like, repost or subscribe to Sitting in a Car? When you do that, other parents just like you are able to find the information and support they need to do this part of their parenting even better. Thanks for that, and bye for now. Oops, I didn't do the intro. I'll do that now. I'm getting tired. Let's keep going. This episode of Become a Comfortable Parent is brought to you... Start again.